Yo, 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 what's up, everybody? Welcome to the first of, hopefully many streams to come. Thank you guys for hanging out with me. Welcome to the stream. First of all, I'd like to get right off the bat. Thank you guys so much for helping me achieve my goal of 1,000 subscribers on YouTube before the end of the year. It's pretty cool considering that when I started making videos for Diablo 3, I really didn't have any expectations regarding it, and then once you guys started leaving lots of comments and leaving lots of views, and really I started to see the subscriber numbers grow. You know, I thought how cool would it be to eventually get up to 1,000, and we are at 1,000 now, so that's awesome, and thank you guys very much. I appreciate it. That being said, here's a cheers here. Season 4 is over today. Season 5 begins January 15th, so let's celebrate the season that was. And basically what this video is just going to be, this stream is going to be, is I've got a list of topics, and I'm going to try and chat about each of the different topics for a little while. Anybody that comes in and joins the live stream, if they want to talk about the topic that we're currently discussing, or they have their opinions, that's awesome, that's great, and you'll get some counter opinions back regarding that. Otherwise, I'm just going to continue to blow through each of these videos, and then at the end, we'll upload the video to YouTube so that you guys can see all these different opinions, and we'll move forward from that. So, that being said, as you can see, I've just got my Diablo screen up right now, just kind of hanging out. I'll probably hop in a game and just manage up the inventory, get all these mats and stuff together. I don't think I'm really going to do any re-rolling or doing anything. I'm pretty much just going to hang out, to be honest with you. What do we got here? Notification. Yeah, so Season 4 is over, and hopefully all of you were able to achieve what you wanted to achieve as far as goals and everything are concerned. I did not. I spent the last couple of days trying to see how far I could get. I actually got inspired. I don't know if I could find the guy exactly, but he's around here somewhere. He was an unhallowed essence demon hunter who happened to score very high, and he actually did it only being about Paragon 800 and something, so that got me motivated, saying, you know what, I'm Paragon 780. I'm going to give it another go. I missed out on 62 a couple of times by literally seconds. So the score that I ended up getting in September is where I ended up finishing overall. So for me, I'm trying to find it here. Season 4 things, there you go. So 707 is where I ended up officially placing on the leaderboards. From a score in September, I'm pretty satisfied with that. Hopefully you guys had more luck with that. So that being said, that'll bring us to the first topic that we're going to talk about, which is Greater Rifts themselves in general, how Season 4 was for Greater Rifting. Now, obviously, people are going to have different opinions about this. Greater Rifting is a different experience for different people. I think the general consensus is that as much as the season probably had so far the best balance as far as being able to complete solo Greater Rifts and them reworking mob types and everything else, I think that everybody can also agree that the group system of running Greater Rifts was really, really flawed this season, more so than others. Running 3 support DPS instead of running what Diablo should be, really, which is about just dealing damage. It was pretty disappointing, having basically experienced leeches in-game. They're the one class doing damage. Everybody else is wearing experience gear, toughness gear. So I think everyone is pretty excited to say good riddance to that, and I can't blame anybody else for that. It was pretty depressing to try and get into Greater Rift groups. And you know what? Especially for, if we're talking about demon hunters in general, if we're talking about that, as a demon hunter, I had a very, very difficult time even finding a group that would take me. So that sucked. So Greater Rifting as groups, I think, was a big negative for the season. Obviously, we were able to clear higher than ever, which is, you know, pretty exciting when you consider everything. Getting up to the Greater Rift 80s, you know, what did the 4 players end up finishing up at? Let's go 4 players. So the highest actually got to 93, which is pretty crazy. So, I mean, as much as, like, everybody loves the power creep and loves to be able to do more and more and more higher difficulties, it was pretty cool from that perspective, but the fact that it ended up coming with mostly support classes, I think ends up taking away from the fun a little bit. Now, if we talk about solo Greater Rifting, solo Greater Rifting really... the big flaw with solo Greater Rifting, for Demon Hunter at least, because that's all I can really comment on, I basically only played Demon Hunter, where that ended up sucking really badly. It's just, I'm personally not a big fan of the system as it exists now. I really wish that the whole concept of fishing just went away. I think that it's pretty obvious in Diablo that certain mob types are better for some classes than other classes. So, as a Demon Hunter, you're trying to get mobs that are not going to one-shot you off of the screen. You're trying to get mobs that you can kite and play to the strength of your class, whereas there's other, say, monks or barbarians, they're able to kind of get in the thick of things and take those hits and really be strong. So, when I think about that, I really wish that they would move towards a system where we can select a template. So instead of having to fish for hours and hours and hours at a time, trying to get the right rift, the perfect rift, why don't we just have the option to select from a template of, you know, select your map, and then select a template of mob types like Demon Hunter template 1 or Monk template 1. I mean, at least then at that point, everybody would be competing on the exact same level, and when you think about that, it makes it a lot more competitive, and in my opinion, it actually makes it a lot more fun. Everyone has a different opinion, but that's something I really wish I would see Diablo go to, because, I mean, honestly, one of the most frustrating parts about pushing is the fact that you go into a rift and you end up having to leave it, or you go into another rift and you end up having to leave it. And it's just this continuous cycle of, okay, maybe this time I'm going to get the rift that I really, really want, and then you can actually play it out. And then that's what makes it additionally frustrating when you finally find that rift. And, you know, maybe what you make mistakes, you're human, you make mistakes, and you end up missing out on your rift. Then it's the process of, oh my god, how much longer am I going to have to go through this process of finding different rift after different rift to find the one that I want. I wish that it would be a little bit more customized that way. I think that would be better. Maybe that's a technical hurdle that they can't do right now. But that's something that I would really like to see moving forward, because every class has different challenges, and it would be nice to at least create a level playing field that way for everyone, knowing that, okay, you know what, when it comes to this map, yeah, this is an ideal map for Demon Hunters. There's 5 ideal maps for Demon Hunters. Choose which one is the best for you. You know, the other thing that I've seen suggested on forums and stuff, which I actually think is a pretty cool idea, is bracketed. Wow, that's actually a really good quiver. Is bracketed leaderboards. So, for example, from Paragon 0 to 400, there'd be a leaderboard, and from Paragon 400 to 800, there'd be a leaderboard, then from 800 to 1000, and so on and so on and so on, so you could actually have a level playing field. I think that kind of fragments the player base a little bit too much. It'll actually discourage experience farming, which Blizzard, it seems pretty obvious that Blizzard likes the fact that you're able to actually do the experience farming. They have made it very clear that there's not going to be a cap, for the reason that they want you to continue to improve and progress your character. So, I don't think that's the route that they're going to go, but it's definitely a cool idea, and I definitely like it a lot. What else do we got here? So that's kind of talking about solo Greater Rifts and group Greater Rifts. Now, one thing that I do like going forward is the changes that they've made for Season 5 in response to a lot of things that are going on. I love the experience nerf, where experience gear will not be as valuable at level 70. I do love the fact that they'll be changing yellow mobs to actually drop more progress, which just literally makes all the sense in the world to have that happen, because yellow mobs take far, far more to actually kill. So why would they not give more progress? I actually like that a lot. I like the nerfs that they made to Ghost, which I think is a really big boost for anybody who has been playing a lot. What else we got here? Okay, cool. I'll just hop into a rift quickly. Yeah, I mean, Greater Rifting is definitely, for solo, it was in a better spot for Season 4 than before. I think everybody can agree that the group play was kind of whack, but that kind of is what it is. It's getting fixed for Season 5, so everyone can be really happy with that. So with that being said, ooh, I got really ugly latency right now. So, with that being said, I think I've said pretty much all I could say about Greater Rifts. I mean, everyone knows that there's lots of improvements being made for Season 5. When I talk about the season that was Greater Rifting better than it has been before? Solo-wise, yes, I would say so, absolutely. I would say that group-wise, no, not really. I think that there are just some things that ended up happening in seasons that you really couldn't scout out for. I didn't see a lot of people on the PTR for early season spending too much time running 3Z DPS. It just kind of happened over the course of the season, and that makes those things really hard to predict. And you never know, for Season 5, it still could wind up being very, very support heavy. I don't think it will be, but it could be. So it's just something to watch out for. So group play, definitely a detriment, but it's being fixed. So with that being said, let's talk about something that I think everyone knows was not a very successful point for Season 4, which was class balance. So class balance is a tricky thing because obviously you end up competing against your own class, which is what matters the most. When you're talking about leaderboards, you're only competing against your class. So class balance is one of those hard things to define, because at the end of the day, as long as your class is balanced within the class, so for example, there isn't one build that's just so completely broken over every other build, making it good, you're always competitive in some sense. But when it came to group content, this has easily been one of the worst seasons. I mean, I've played them all pretty extensively. Maybe not from beginning to end, but the time that I did play in the first couple weeks, I played it a lot, and I definitely don't remember there being so many classes, and not only classes, but just what classes would use, being so useless for group content. I mean, Demon Hunter, good luck finding a group over greater of 60 for group content, which is sucky because you're trying to push and get to greater of 60 as it is solo, so you're not really doing that much of an extra, difficulty push when you're actually doing the group content, right? You would think that if you're doing 60 by yourself, you could do 70 or so in a group, but it doesn't really pan out that way. And for Demon Hunters, it didn't pan out that way. For Wizards, it didn't pan out that way. Crusaders really didn't see any play until they started getting ZDPS. So class balance really suffered in Season 4. I'm really hoping that things kind of change and turn around for Season 5. I don't know why that took me so long to think up of. But class balance, not so great. I mean, if we take a look at... Let's just go look at the leaderboards again, and let's look at class balance, right? So, let's go to Barbarian. Barbarian was arguably one of the strongest classes, if not the strongest class, for solo pushing. There you go. Greater Rift, 82 as a top. Generally, for the most part, people are sitting around 76, 77, 75 for... Oh, maybe not. So, 74 as you go through it. 73. So, top 100 bottoms out at 71. Okay, so if you got 71 or higher in the top 100, that's pretty neat. Go to Crusader, 74 is the top. And if you go down here to the bottom 100, so there you go, 64 is to get into the 100. Go Demon Hunter, 76 is a top with that's just a great score overall. But then you go down to the bottom here, and 63 is pretty much where you're hovering. Go to Monks, which again was another extremely strong class. You have 83 as a top, with a lot of 80s in the top 20. And then you go down to 100 here, and you're at 74. Witch Doctors, another pretty strong one, 78. Going down about 100, you have 70. And then Wizards, you have 78 as a top, but going down to 100, you have 66. So there is a lot of parity with individual classes, and that makes it honestly really difficult to say that class balance was good, because it clearly wasn't. Barbarians and Monks were so much better individually for solo Greater Rift content, and then they wound up being the absolutely best classes as well for group content. And is that a surprise to anybody? No, of course not. They're by far and away the two best classes in the game, and that doesn't mean that nobody was playing other classes, but it ended up taking away from a lot of the fun because there wasn't a lot of diversity in class play. If you were doing group content, you pretty much knew that you were going to be playing Monk or Barbarian if you were actually taking the game seriously, pushing higher and higher. So one thing I can say for certainty is that in Season 5, they really took an aggressive stance at fixing the whole ZDPS thing and the whole experience leech thing. So class balance going forward looks like it's going to be a really, really big improvement. I'm really looking forward to just seeing it continue to be better and better. But for Season 4, can we say in review that class balance was good? No, it was actually worse than ever, which is surprising that class balance would regress so much in Season 4 after having the first 3 seasons where there were some there were some very, very, very broken builds in Season 4. In earlier seasons, but the class balance still wound up being better. So while the specs themselves are actually better designed, it wound up somehow really skewing class balance in the same way. Now, should Blizzard have fixed that at some point in the season by giving buffs to classes that were clearly underperforming? I would say so, but at the same time, I can also understand why they would reserve buffing a class. Why do it 4 or 5 weeks into a season after people have already played, kind of figured out what's good, and maybe ended up switching characters already? So they've obviously made that change for Season 5, and I can say, without a shadow of a doubt on the PTR, class balance is not perfect, but it's much better. And for Demon Hunters on their own, there are 5 different builds right now for Demon Hunters that are on the top 100. So there's Legacy of Nightmares, there's Martyrs, there's Unhallowed Essence, there's Fan of Knives, and there's also Natalia's Fan of Knives, which is pretty crazy considering that on Season 4 right now, there is 2. There's Unhallowed Essence and Nats, and that's it. That's all you could run. So there's already more diversity within classes to play, and with the nerfs to ZDPS, there is also a lot more diversity with classes. I mean, when you check the 4-player leaderboards, there is a ton of different class combinations and spec combinations that are pushing the tops. So it's actually pretty cool to see. So class balance definitely going to be better for Season 5. In summary, Season 4, not very good. Moving on here, we'll talk about exploits in Season 4, and especially botting, and how much of an impact that ended up having on Season 4. This one's kind of a tricky one to talk about because, I mean, there were exploits that were not generally widely talked about. I do think that the most obvious exploit that ended up happening was the Hellfire Amulet exploit, where you could wind up having every passive on your character due to some tricksy salvaging tools. And that one was swiftly dealt with. There was punishments that went out for it. Those people were removed off the leaderboards. So there was at least some response made. But I mean, I'm even reading about things such as exploits being done as far as using shield pylons to 2-3-shot Rift Guardians. I mean, there's probably more that I don't know about. But it's sucky that those things have to happen and they don't get reported. And people end up, getting success when you're trying to create a competitive playing field for Diablo. But botting is really the key issue that plagued Season 4 very, very, very badly. If you actually go look at some of the really, really top people as far as Paragon level. I mean, somebody hit Paragon 3000 this season. Just not good. Not good. And I mean, if you look at what the amount of time that they would have had to have played, I know that there's people out there that do, you know, Diablo is their job and they treat it as such. But to tell me that they played at a pace of 15 to 17 hours a day, every single day, for three and a half straight months to get the Paragon level that they were, it's not realistic. There's obviously something fishy going on with that, and it's really a discouraging thing to happen to people that are trying to play the game legitimately, and they want to be competitive. You know, they find the competitive aspect of the game fun. They find leaderboards fun. They find pushing greater rifts fun. They know that, you know, you need to grind to get better Paragon levels, and that will increase the power of your character so that you can do better greater rifts. And then you see, wow, there's all these people botting. They're not getting punished for it. It doesn't seem like there's any punishment forthcoming. So do I make the decision to do this so that I can stay competitive? Because obviously there's nothing really bad happening to the people that are doing it. So the botting issue is kind of a tough one, because there's a lot of people that find a lot of things that you do in Diablo to be very tedious. They simply want to be able to push and play when they're actually at their computer. So for example, where I am right now, people would like to be pushing group play and group content instead of having to farm T8, so they get an automated program to farm their keystones and farm their materials and stuff for them, instead of them doing it themselves. I really hope that Blizzard for Season 5 kind of takes a better look at how much time people played for. You know, Diablo's not really a game that you can't necessarily set up caps. You know, you can't be like, oh, you can only play for 30 hours a week, and then after that you just don't get experience. I mean, that doesn't exactly work out very well. But at the same time, I think you should be able to look at somebody and see, oh, okay, they've been online for, you know, 17 hours, 18, 19 hours a day, every single day for 6 straight weeks. And, you know, maybe suggest something like a timeout system. You know, like if you've been logged in for 27 straight hours, you know, you get like, you know, you get a couple hours timeout or something like that, to help balance the stuff out. And, you know, the more timeouts that you have is the more the longer your timeouts will be. So obviously someone can't just take the trade-off of getting timed out for 4 hours every single time, right? Because everyone will take that. I don't know, these are just ideas I'm throwing out there. Yeah, it's a tough thing to combat, because, I mean, you can't just flatly look at everyone's time played and just ban everybody with that time, because maybe there are people that aren't botting, right? Obviously the people who are botting have programs that Blizzard is not able to detect, or Blizzard just maybe is turning a blind eye to. Yeah, I don't really know. It's kind of, it's a really, obviously we know that botting is wrong. It's a form of cheating, and it wound up impacting Season 4 a lot. So we know that we don't want it to impact Season 5 the way that it impacted Season 4. However, what is the plan to do that? How is there something that we can come up with, or does Blizzard have some great master plan that we don't know about? I don't know exactly how that's going to get fixed for Season 5. I really want to see things get fixed, but chances are botting will be prevalent in Season 5. The only thing you could do, as advice as someone who obviously doesn't bot and just kind of plays the game until it stops being fun and then they stop playing it, I would just advise to just not worry about it and to just do your best for what you can do. I mean, like I said, there was somebody in the top 100 who, for Demon Hunters at least, who is only Paragon level 800 and something, which goes to show you don't need to be mass botter Paragon 2800 just to have a really high place on the leaderboards. But botting was it an issue? Yes. Exploiting was it an issue? Yes, but on a scale that we don't really know, simply because we don't know about all the exploits that were happening. And we know that the one exploit that did happen, there was swift punishment that came back from it. Okay. Let's talk about itemization in Season 4. And kind of how that played out. So, one thing that was... It's actually funny to me, because one thing that was complained about greatly in actually pre-Season 1, and then Season 1, as time moved forward, people hated, and I mean hated, the fact that there was no choice in your rings. You had to have a Unity, and you had to have a Stone of Jordan, and they were super rare, and that was it. Like, there was no other ring that compared in the game to Unity and Stone of Jordan. And I find it kind of funny now that you fast forward to solo play. I mean, realistically, there really isn't a better ring combination right now than Focus and Restraint. It's the best for generally all classes that are dealing damage. It's insane to me that we wound up in the exact same place after all of the work that was done and the tweaking and everything to add some diversity to the game. With the way builds and stuff are now, that it's still gotten to this point. And not only that, but I mean, really, when it comes down to it, itemization in Diablo just isn't very interesting. The interest in itemization with Diablo comes from the actual items themselves. And what I mean by that is that sets are something that's very exclusive to Diablo as far as ARPGs go. And really, every single class has a set that you need to have that set in order to be good. So for, like, right now, Demon Hunters, I'm looking at this Unhallowed Essence set. The interest in the itemization to do with this set has to come from the set bonuses themselves. But the actual itemization of dexterity, vitality, crit hit damage, crit hit chance, I mean, this stuff is all generally very uninteresting. Your min-maxing literally just involves trying to get an ideal number up to max. That's it. There isn't like this big discussion over, oh, okay, well, for example, looking at Diablo 2, okay, well, if I have like plus skills here, or if I get a Enigma and I can teleport around, like, there really isn't anything interesting to do with itemization in Diablo. The added interest comes now from secondary effects. Unfortunately, there's just secondary effects that just way, way, way outweigh everything else. So, you know, just something to think of. You know, people talk about diversity, but at the end of the day, there still winds up being just best in slot lists. And, you know, it would be nice to end up seeing diversity within a character spec. So we know that this set, for example, we know that Unhallowed Essence by itself is going to be good, and it's going to be based around multi-shotting. But does that mean that Dead Man's Legacy has to be the only quiver that you could choose from? Or could there be other options for different quivers that maybe change around what a multi-shot build is? You know, same thing, does Yang's Recurve need to be the only bow that you can use to really make multi-shot do the damage that it needs to be one of the top builds? Those are just things that I'm suggesting that I think Diablo really lacks. At the end of the day, you know, if you're going to be a Whirlwind Barb, you just have to get this gear, and that's pretty much it. You know, same thing for Demon Hunter, same thing for Monk. You're pretty much going on this endless chase to find one singular piece of gear that just far outweighs everything else, because that's the way itemization has kind of gone in Diablo, and I don't have the solutions for that. I obviously don't work for Blizzard to be able to have the answers for that, but, you know, maybe it would be nice to see maybe pieces of gear that could roll with plus skill, percent damage, like not just on stuff like this, but on chests. Maybe a certain chest would, for example, maybe there's a chest that could drop in Season 5 that would increase your multi-shot damage by 100%. So you think, would it be better to run with the chest and then run Unity, or does it make more sense to have the convention still and use the full 6 pieces equipped? Just little things like that, I think, could help freshen up itemization in Diablo and make it better. Itemization, I will say that there still was more build diversity this season in Season 4. There wasn't just one build that dominated for every single class. There was multiple different builds that did really good. But it's still not perfect. Season 5 is in a much better place for some classes. Like I said, Demon Hunters are in a really nice spot right now. Whereas, for example, Wizards right now, Firebirds is pretty much rocking up everything. So there's still some work to be done when it comes to itemization. I think there's ways that it can still be more interesting in Diablo, and I think that's really kind of what keeps people occupied. I will say this, and it's not, I honestly haven't even played any endgame Path of Exile to be able to really say, like, have a truly formulated opinion on it. But whenever I would watch Diablo streamers, so such as Datmods or Alkazer, whenever I would watch them play that game, they spent so much time in town just buying and selling and trading and looking at different items and just trying to combine things and what would happen if I combine this with this? Oh, is this like a minor upgrade? And I think that's something that really Diablo is missing. You really don't spend that much time in town, so they're going, I wonder what it's going to be. Like, is this item going to be a little bit better than this one because it gives me a skill percentage or something that doesn't necessarily outweigh it outright. Like, so for example, in Diablo, really you're looking at, oh, this gives me plus 0.3% toughness and I lose 0.1% damage. Ugh, yawn. Like, that's pretty uninteresting to sit there in town and try and debate that for yourself. Just pure damage, pure toughness is not very interesting. There could be more done to expand on making the gear part of it interesting, to make theory crafting a little bit more fun, and then therefore people maybe wouldn't feel that the entire point of the game is to just grind experience and to grind over and over and over again until they get just the right rolled piece of gear that they know is just singularly best in slot. So, oh, this belt is best in slot, so I'm going to have to find 300 of these belts, and they're going to range in just different numbers. And basically, those numbers are only going to mean that I do a little bit more damage, or take a little bit less damage, or whatever it is. I don't know that you'll ever see that kind of itemization change in Diablo 3, and if you did, I'm not sure that you would see it in a new season. But that being said, there definitely is room to improve. I think they know that. I just think there's just kind of some tweaks and changes to their actual system of how they do gear. At this point, I really don't think Diablo has anything to lose with itemization. I think everybody knows that itemization in original Diablo was absolutely terrible. So they've continued to improve each and every season. However, I do think it's gotten to a point now where instead of actually making the items interesting themselves, they're just making changes to the sets, making sets stronger or weaker, and trying to make what's interesting how far you can clear with those sets. And I don't think that will necessarily translate well for everybody. But that's just one opinion there. And then the last topic I had listed to talk about here was just Season 5. And just what are we excited about for Season 5? I've talked a little bit about different things, but one thing I can tell you that I'm super excited about is class balance and just class diversity. So classes are much more balanced. You're going to see a lot of different people playing a lot of different classes. There's a lot more put into the game as incentive to play other classes. Lots of cosmetic stuff, such as the set dungeons. I think that's going to be cool, because you're going to see people who want to be completionists with Diablo, which I'm assuming is going to be tied up a lot into the season journey and the portrait part of it. Is you're going to see people, okay, I'm going to go and I'm going to play Crusader for a while now, because I have to go get all the different set pieces for Crusader so that I can unlock the Crusader set dungeons and do them, and then I'm going to move on to Wizard. And people are going to be able to play all the different classes and be able to have some sort of enjoyment as far as having completion there. I'm really looking forward to the changes to Greater Rifting. I love the health changes to mob health, making it a little bit more relative and making it a little bit more friendly to people who maybe just want to spend their time solo farming. What I'm doing right now, I find, honestly, it's fun. I could do this for a while. but it's not efficient to do so, and I'm really happy that Blizzard has looked at how much experience you're getting as a solo player versus a 4-player party, said, nope, that parity is too big, we need to fix it, and it has been fixed. I would still probably say it is better to run in 4 players still, but only marginally. So again, that gives you some diversity in gameplay. Hey, I want to go online, and I want to try pushing greater risk. Well, it's not going to be a waste of my time for experience, because I know that I'm still going to gain an awesome chunk of experience doing it by myself. So that time isn't going to waste where, oh, I could be getting Paragon levels right now, which would make my pushes later on better. Well, you know what? You're still going to get that boost. I'm a big fan of the changes to sets. Obviously, as a Demon Hunter, and I'm biased, I love the changes to Martyrs, I love the changes to Unhallowed Essence, I love the changes to Shadow, what they've changed on the PTR so far. Obviously, I'm a little bit bummed out that the 4-piece Chakram build didn't end up working out, but it's a pretty small concession to make, considering that now there's a lot more diversity. Yeah, I mean, Season 5, I'm really, really excited for it. As I said, it comes out January 15th. Blizzard is going with this path of making in-between seasons be a little bit longer, because they want to be able to have a full community of people playing together for a little bit longer. It also gives people who play seasons a little bit longer of a break. Maybe if you're somebody that is just playing seasons only. This music's kind of loud, isn't it? But maybe if you're somebody that only plays seasons, right? You know, it's not a very good feeling to spend all that time grinding seasons, then you literally get a 4-day break. At least in this case, you get about a 2-week break to refresh your brain, maybe not play some Diablo for a while, and just be able to come at it with full force. It also just allows you the opportunity to be able to just chat with everybody and just play with different people. There's people who have been playing, you know, non-season that are super, super high Paragon level, and, you know, maybe getting perspective from them on what they've been doing in their non-season play versus seasonal play. Yeah, I'm kind of running out of things to talk about as far as Season 5 goes, but I'm really looking forward to set dungeons. I'm really looking forward to the new greater rifts. I'm really looking forward to being able to farm up more than, you know, even 2 sets for a single class, and knowing that it's going to be competitively viable. Looking forward to the cosmetic rewards that are being added. The new portraits look very, very good. And I really, really look forward to the new the new season rush. That's what I look forward to. I really like when everybody's at the same level, and that's kind of that awesome feeling where, hey, you know what, when you've been playing for a long time at the very beginning, you've got some gear, you're in a good group, and, you know, that's where you kind of see yourself break away from the pack. You know, a couple days later, people are joining the game and they're going, I don't understand how you can have such good gear already. You know, I really love that rush, and I love that feeling. It's something that really only exists for about the first week, when people start getting power leveled up like crazy. But that first week is really, really cool, and it's definitely the best part of the season, and I can pretty much safely say that I will come back for every single season beginning, if at least for the first week or two, just because of how much fun that initial rush and grind for gear is to get. And that's, yeah, you know what, that's pretty much all I got for what I wanted to talk about for, you know, end of season. We covered a couple different topics. Didn't really have a lot of feedback from the chat, but that's okay. It is what it is. I understand that right now it's the day before New Year's. People are probably out, or, you know, just not playing Diablo because they spent all day playing it today trying to push Greater Rift. So that is what it is. But for those of you who will watch this on YouTube, hopefully you guys enjoyed some of my opinions, enjoyed some of the things I talked about for Season 5 and what's to come, or maybe just enjoyed some of my reflective views of Season 4. Maybe there's a thought in there that you didn't necessarily think of, or maybe there's something that you really hated and didn't agree with at all, and that can give you some ability to comment on it. I don't know, but it feels good to get this all off the old chest. Season 4 is over, it's done with. the push is over for a couple of weeks, and then we get right back at it. So hopefully you guys enjoy my board T8 farming here as I try to just do a little bit of something, and hopefully the music is not too loud. It's my first time honestly doing a stream setup where I have a second screen over here. Not a second screen, sorry. I have a streaming PC now. So there's a streaming PC and then there's an actual game PC. So it's the first time I've actually done this. So hopefully it worked out and things look good. And hopefully there wasn't too much distractions. Thank you guys for hanging out with me for a little bit and tuning in. I am going to end up actually swapping over games right now because I just spent the last 2 days playing Diablo. And I don't really feel like pouring a bunch of hours into it. So I'm going to end up switching it up. Thanks for watching. And I will see you guys very, very soon for more Diablo content. There will definitely be another build guide coming out for Natalia's. And then we'll do some talking about Season 5 Diablo Demon Hunter gameplay just on its own. Again, thanks guys. I'm going to end up stopping this Diablo part of the stream and switching over to something different. I'll export this